City election December 3rd, 2025 at 180 Maple Street, 1 p.m. Call the meeting to order. First thing we got to call for a foreman. Please call the roll.
Chip Clark.
Here.
Robbie Lofton.
Here.
Tim Rhodes.
Here.
Donna Ross.
Here.
Jimmy White.
Here.
Gabe Williams.
Here.
Sandra Wood. Here.
We have a form. Second thing on the agenda is prayer and allegiance. Chief, would you do the prayer for us? I'll do the
Let us pray. Father God, we love you and thankful for this day that you've given us, Father. We thank you for this opportunity to come together and do the business of the people. Father, I just pray that you grant wisdom upon this board. Everything that they do would be pleasing in your sight. Watch over us, guide us, direct us. Forgive us where we're failing. For it's in Christ's name I pray. Amen.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Remind everybody to put themselves on Facebook and vibrator. And we have people like to address the board. We got Ronnie Dyer and Breeder Ferry. One of you, I guess it's individually. Ronnie, you want to come first?
Now, what I was discussing with you is what I was told Monday of this week on the top by one of the utility workers of the water department, that the gas delivery was $6.70. Because I asked the lady, it wasn't Mary, because I couldn't go talk to some Francis up there on the board. I asked the girl that answered the phone, I said, is that $10? I was thinking it was $10 gonna go in our meter. And she said, no, you will pay $6.70 plus whenever that comes in, the $3.30, which is $10. I said, okay, no problem. Well, when I got the bill Monday, I had $21 and something gas delivery. And I was off, they told me money. And then told me today it was $6.76. But yet mine is a little bit higher. So they're doing what they want to up there. That is supposed to be, the PGA is what you use. The delivery stays the same all the time. They can do the summer, $6.70. They might give me this winter, but they won't get me come springtime because I'll put in a whole new air conditioning system and a propane tank. Because I'm tired of being nickel and dime today. I live on $967, and you know that. And you know how I struggle. And if it wasn't for reason, I couldn't make it. And you know it as well as I'm standing here, but that's true. We pay a high dollar house payment, car insurance, but yet we make it. But I'm tired of all this waste money being spent, and then the citizens have to pay it with rates going up. That's not right. We're not the ones spending all this money. The city is. But that's what we're asking, is to make things right and take care of the city. There's about 4 people in this town struggling. There was a lady at the county meeting that got up and told she couldn't buy meat. She came forward. Well, guess what? I went to her some meat. And she didn't want to take it, but I said, take it. I went to Clark Park, bought her a big bill of meat, took it to her. I don't even know who the woman was. I just got her address, took it to her. But there's a lot of people in this house that are just like Freedom. She struggles on what we draw. And we ain't gonna get no big, gigantic race to go cruising around the oceans. Come January, we get $58 little. Well, guess what, our Medicare's gonna be dead. So, I want y'all to think about that. We struggle, and there's a lot of people in this town struggling. And these rates going up, and all these spending money, we're not spending that money, but we're getting blamed for it, having to pay for it. And, you know, people with fine jobs are having to pay, you have to pay high dollar light bill. But we're struggling, and y'all need to think about that today, how people in this town are struggling. There's kids dealing with that. And here it is Christmas, and little children are gonna have to do without Christmas because of these rates going up. Because you gotta pay your bill. I pay my bill on time. And I'm kinda like, if my bill is one man, I tend to try to put just a little more extra with it. So they don't have to give me change, but then I get that on credit on my next bill. I do it with my light bill, I do it with my gas and water bill. But that delivery is $6.70, I was told today, and I was told Monday by the people at the water department. But yet, $21 and something this month, but $6.70 last month. They're adding on what they want to. Now, I can see what the gas I use, which is very little, because now I put in a kerosene heater. I'm trying to cut back as hard as I can, as hard of cutting back and trying to put food on my table and pay my bills on what little money I have without having to go deeper in debt. That's the main thing, is we're struggling out here. This is a poor town. This ain't no Hollywood, California. We don't have that money. We struggle. And Roger, you know what struggling is like, because you grew up that way. We didn't have it made when we was going to Lexington, did we? We had to struggle. So, I appreciate y'all, and I hope y'all have a blessed Merry Christmas.
What is the difference in the delivery of the gas and the PGA? Why have we got two, even though we use gas for both of them? Why is it separate? Why isn't it just, they use gas use instead of one delivery and one is gas PGA?
Yes. So your gas bill is broke down into three different parts. You have essentially your customer charge, which is the $6.70. Then you have the delivery fee, and then you have the PGA. So the PGA is what we give for gas, and we base that upon what we give at the market for gas. So we don't make any money off of that. The base rate, what we call, is where that's the money that we make. So it's broke down into three different sections. And then on that delivery fee is your customer charge plus your usage that is $2.41 for inside the city. And that's the combined total of it. And then you have your PGA, which is what actually the purchase of gas was.
That's over my head, I don't understand.
Freedom, what he's saying is they're telling you how much they pay for gas. So if you go down here to the gas station, you buy gas for your okay? Alright, and Walmart gives $1 a gallon for it, and then they charge you for $1.50. That means if they showed you that they paid $1 for it, they charge you an extra 50 cents to be able to deliver that to you. And then, and also in that delivery charge, you have a minimum fee every month, to be sure you have a meter on your house, and that's what the $6.70 has always been. So the $6.70, and what you do, he takes the PGA, which how much they pay for the gas, like they paid $1, and then they charge you another 50 cents for profit, so it's $1.50 plus the $6.70, and that's how they come up with total. We're adding three things up is what we're doing, to be sure that they all have the correct amount. He's showing you what they're paying for that gas, am I right? Yes.
Yes, sir. And that changes every month. I mean,
And
that
they really-
goes with the market.
Right, we're in the marketplace, so what we do is what we pay for that month is what we bill our customers. Whether if it goes up or down, we go with the market's what we do. So it's only fair, if it goes up, we raise it up, if it goes down, we go down.
Okay, I had somebody come down and look at my water meter, and, they told me I had a leak in the house. So, I had this man to come, and, he there since 1988. So they come, the meter had been run over, it coming up in the driveway, so they put a new hole, the one I had was rain, this one is square. They come and put a whole new meter in there. I walked down there and talked to them, and they said everything was fine. So this month, I got a water bill. The water is $88.01. Then they added $3.60 onto that, and then the sewage is $93.38. 3 different people told me I ain't got no water leak, but they put in a new meter, whole shebang, and it went up. My bill went up $50 this month for water.
All right, like I told you, at the
Yeah.
meeting, what I'm gonna do is after it's over with, we're gonna go back to the city hall, we're gonna run your water meters back and forth and see what it really is, and so we'll give you an answer. I can't answer today for you, but we will
Okay.
research it and go back and I'll give you an answer for it.
Now, there's one more thing I want to say. Y'all know I'm a cemetery lady, but I went to the cemetery this morning, to put flowers on my husband's grave. But one of them fell off, and I put it back on there. And there is black marks from here to jail over there. There's one, if not two, where people's been over and spending cars in that cemetery. They work over there all day, and they lock the gates at night. How is that? And when it's just been the last 2 or 3 days, who is putting that black mark on there?
We understand the problem, and the chief and I have a plan in place right now we're working on. I'm going to just say in front of everybody, if we wanna catch somebody messing up, we don't want to tell them we're gonna catch
There's
them.
some hands that's working on there in the daytime, when somebody's over spinning their wheels, just like if somebody's coming down Main Street and they are spinning their wheels out there making paper, I'm gonna get up and go to the door and say who they are. Don't they hear that over there? Can't they call the law and do something about it? Cause what if they leave that road and go through them, all them rocks? You know, so, but anyway, that's all I got to say, but I appreciate it.
Thanks, ma'am. Thank you.
I'm actually hoping you guys can help me out a little bit here. I'm trying to understand the gas. I'm going back to, I've got copies, you guys need to see it. This was back from the power plant. And what it stated, was, showing about $410,000. Is that gonna be, it's gonna be negative, is where we're gonna be short on gas. Is that gonna be for the end of 2025, fiscal year 2025? I just don't remember, down at the bottom, it shows a negative 14.
That's last year. This is last year.
Well, that would've been, I would think that'd be
But that'd be,
25.
it will be 24, 25.
Cause 25, I think came up,
Right.
towards August, negative 100. So y'all were anticipating 425.
Right.
And what you stated in the meeting, the work session was a little over 300. Instead of being 410, y'all were actually able to bring it down some.
It appeared it closed out, and I'll have to have somebody tell me what the exact number is. It was 300-something thousand. I'm sorry, I don't know the exact number, but I know it was in the 300,000 range. So, Melissa, you remember what it finished out with? 344.
Okay, all right. That kind of leads to my next thing. I noticed that, when it was stated in the work session that this was gonna generate, by doing this 3:30 early, was gonna generate around about 220, and
Well, we was estimating, as it works out, we're not gonna get full 6 months, we're only gonna get 5 months.
okay, but at 6 months, it would have came in around about 220, what we're,
We anticipated, is that correct, number, Melissa? It's close.
okay. So realistically, in a year, that 3:30 is gonna generate about 440?
Correct.
Okay, well, now I'm kind of lost, because if we ended up 344 short, this 330 was supposed to be year 2. Again, this was coming back, and you're more than welcome to pass one of these here out. It shows in that survey that you're gonna raise $714 between those two steps. If we know that we've got $440 coming in on year 2 step, that, the difference is, I have to put my calculator out here, 344 minus 714.
370.
I'm sorry, 440 minus 714, my bad.
714 less 440,
Yep.
that's 274,000.
Okay, so what this shows in this sheet here, if you break it down, both these steps were supposed to be 714,000. Okay? You are gonna realize 440,000 for the 330 rates, which leaves you making 274 for the first year. The first year has already been implemented. So you're generating 274, which is supposed to help wipe off the 344 you're short. So realistically, you're only about $70,000 short.
That's good. That what question?
The first phase is not implemented until July 1st, so this year is going to be 25, 26.
Right, I understand that, but you're implementing that, you're collecting that money in this fiscal year. And that money is supposed to be used to wipe off the debt. That's what the guy was showing in the PowerPoint presentation.
And that's correct, but also, he said that's based on what we anticipate the weather to be. And we really do not know what the weather's gonna be, because based on the charts that Melissa's produced to me, we missed it all last 3 years. We've come up short every year, and it's getting progressively worse. And on the trend, it's getting progressively worse for 3 years. We would not anticipate that this is a good number. This was only a subjective number that he put on a PowerPoint display to say this is what we should raise. And I went to her and asked her, I said, is this a good number? And based on her, what she has already seen as a true number we've done for the last 3 years, this number is not any good. That's the reason I come to this board and I said, we need to do something now, because based on what he's saying, we're not gonna get to that number. And I'd like to be at least at the end of 2026, that we're at break even, and that's what our goal is by doing this. That's the reason we enacted it 5 months ahead of time to generate. We're not gonna get 220, we're probably gonna get less than 200, and then we get less than 200, we're hoping in the following year that we're close to breaking even. That was our goal, is to actually break even and not go 3 years negative.
Okay, but when that guy presented this thing here on April 28th, that was the whole point of doing it in the steps that we were looking at. And if we actually came in under what he had, the 410, if you're at 344, you save pretty much $75,000 off of what we anticipated projection. So that came down.
75, 150, and we're only gonna get about 200. If that's the case, we're only gonna be close to breaking even. But when I found out what the audit said, how far we're short, I went in Melissa and I said, show me the records. And then when I've seen the records and what it said, and I seen actual numbers that we ended and what it was, and I said, we had a shortfall that I said, based on that, we're trending down, not up. And that's telling me, if that's so, even though we've changed to come in and pick that up, all we're doing is we're putting the money back in our shortfall, but we need a little bit to assure that we're over it. And that's why I recommended that we go to the $10 instead of the $6.70, because I like to have a little buffer, because that is a given fixed number that we can put in our system. Where using gas, we don't have a fixed number we're working, we're basing strictly on the weather. So if we do better and we break even, then next year we'll have to figure this and we do better.
But that was the point of this year. This actually is fixed numbers too, because when you look at it, in the year 2, what you're talking about implementing right now, that is a fixed number. That 330,
Fixed number.
how many numbers your
Right.
customers are, I can understand that. That 5 cubic feet that you're not paying for in gas this year, if gas actually increases in price, your number, actually, you gain more money in revenue because you're not having to pay that out. That was the reason the steps were broken down with doing the cut in the gas in the first year,
Right.
and then the 330 in the second year, according to what the guy presented us.
Right.
Like I said, I don't see, we're receiving revenue this year from the first step that was implemented, which
should offset majority of what the carryover of that negative 344 is. And
Based on,
that's actually lower than what you projected.
based on what she showed me. I mean, I could have recommended nothing and let it ride like it was, and we could end up 2026 and see what it is. That's what we could do. But as a mayor, and keeping this a sound business and not having the state come in and regulate what we've got to do, my judgment was to come to the board and ask them to implement this now. And then we will end this year in 2026 and see where we are based on those numbers and what happens going forward for the next year. If it is, we can adjust that point. But I'd rather take a chance on us getting our money even than losing money, because we're gonna get a letter from the state. And we're gonna have to address this, and I do not want the state to come in here and tell us this is what you're gonna set your rate at. And I do not want that to happen. I want them to say that we are proactive in what we do, that we do not sit around and say idly by knowing that we're going downhill. We're not gonna do that. And that's the reason we've done this. Now, it's up to this board, what they decide to do. It's not me. I can only bring this to the board and say, this is what we got. This is the situation. Here it is. Take it and run with it. And that's what we're doing today. All right? Thank you. That's all the citizens' comments. Thank y'all for speaking. Appreciate y'all coming up. I'm afraid I will find out after the meeting that week. Okay? All right, first item on this right here is approve the second reading of the person policy.
Proposed rear purchasing policy starts on page 2. It remains unchanged from the first reading. But I entertain any questions or concerns the board may have about this policy.
I still don't like in section 4 that where it's unforeseen minor purchases require immediate acquisition are exempt with written approval of city board. So they gotta come to you still? Is that how you read that? Page 4. The last line, what bothers me is minor purchases, that word would be huge. Your idea of minor, mine might be two completely different things.
Correct, it is a subjective term.
I wanna know who decides that, what minor is. Is that the department here? Is that you? That's my question. That's what I was asking the other night. And I mean, I would just like to know before I say it, and they can spend $100,000 because somebody thought that was mine.
And honestly, even since the last meeting, I could not think of an example of something that's popped up that would qualify under this section. If it would make the board feel any better, we could add a definition for minor, and
I personally would like it.
it don't include a dollar amount of what minor is, so that we're all on the same page.
I'll just say, find us the highest minor provision that's been, I kind of agree
I've
with
been trying
you
to wrap
saying,
my brain on what has it.
the reality is it probably doesn't happen very often, but if there's never been a charge more than $5,000, $500 in the last 30 years, then assigning some kind of cushion. I mean, because I get one of our people are out traveling on the side of the road and they need to get a wrecker service or get an engine repaired, or I don't know what could come up, but I don't think it would cost $100,000.
But unless that was after hours, I could still call and get PO.
Yep.
So I guess, some of it repair and after hours,
It just seemed open-ended to me, and I didn't like it.
it is.
It's probably on purpose, but once again, that's
If it was my checkbook, I would want to know how much it could spend.
Is this about emergency spending?
I don't.
It just says unforeseen minor purchases that require immediate acquisition are exempt
fill a vacancy that would be left open after filling the vacancy of deputy recorder position. This is strictly internal. But I'm also asking the board, to allow this person to serve as an understudy, Fran Burton, so that when the time comes she retires, this person would have adequate time to train under Fran and a certain her role as well.
What we're gonna do with the first position when that happens?
At that time, I come back before the board, to request to fill a vacancy. And one thing I want to clarify from the last meeting, I stated that Missy has accrued leave that runs through October, it's through July.
Mayor, do you have any recommendations on this?
Well, we know that Missy's leaving, we're gonna have to do something with it. I think we can do it in two parts, we can either do the whole thing, or we can break it up right now, just to fill that vacancy, or somebody go on stage till that gets done, and then when friends come up, we can revisit the issue. I think it's up, but that's up to the board.
I make a motion, that is what we do.
I'll second that motion.
Do we see any?
I didn't hear the motion.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Question.
I told them we could do it all right now, we could do it in two parts. What we could do is we could go ahead and move over there to take care of Missy's position. And when Fran time comes up next year, what she needs to do, then she come back to the board and revisit what he wants to do at that time.
So we're saying that person, or whoever it might be, if they didn't want that we could apply internal, somebody internal with the city could
Well, we would like to fill all these positions internally.
That's what I'm saying, so if it were to be that this individual didn't work out, or they weren't satisfied, or you weren't satisfied, you could look internal, someone else.
Well, right now, what the position is, we know Missy's leaving. We need somebody to take her place and be over our training and learn what it is. He recommended to move. Mallory, is that right?
Yes, that's
Or
correct.
Mallory out in gas over and do that. He also asked to do it, be an understudy for Fran. Chip said that he wanted, his motion is that we just do this one right now, is move Mallory up there and start training for Missy's job. At the time Fran decides she's gonna retire, lets us know when, then we'll decide who moves into that position. That's his motion. Have a motion and a second.
And have you been talked to about that?
Well, yes, sir, this morning, this stuff we talked about.
So we're on the same page? You're not replacing him?
Currently, no, sir.
So my question would be, we all remember several years ago having a bad audit year. We went for quite a while with basically not enough experience working in our county department, finance department. And I'll say that. So we're in a lot better place now, and I think, and I'm appreciative of that. But with that said, giving somebody enough time to learn a job before somebody leaves that knows the job really well is a big deal. So I'm asking anybody, it's not a matter of personal issue, but if you have a senior person leave and we don't have anybody that's capable or competent to fill in that very important role, how do you feel is our financial leader? Does that give you concern, or do you feel good about that?
It's very case by case specific and definitely employee by employee specific. I feel comfortable with this one.
Do you think we can catch up the person if we wait till later to hire Fran's replacement?
Well, Fran's got a while to go, but what he wants to do right now, Missy's leaving here pretty
Yeah, I
quick,
understand that.
and he's trying to get somebody in that position, and I do agree with him 100%, that we need to get somebody in there and get that going, because it's key to his role, what he
But I'm
does.
just saying, we got two, that's two, that if somebody doesn't work out and then Fran leaves, then we got two positions that are not trained. I guess that's the only, I'm just acknowledging. So if we feel okay about that, I'm good, I'm asking that.
I'm gonna interject this, I asked Fran myself the other day when she was leaving, and she told me, and she's in the room right now, she said she was not sure exactly the date she was gonna leave, so it's kinda hard to say this is the date until she tells us it's positively this is when she's
That
going.
is very fair.
And when she says that, I think then the board should address that.
That's very fair.
Well, with her position there, we need someone that wants to be in that position and can do that position.
that is one of the most important positions in the city of Lexington when you come to do your HR, your personnel, your insurance, your retirement, you know.
I
You
agree.
don't want someone in there that doesn't really wanna be there.
That is very, very true.
Well, that's the first I've kind of heard. So, I guess being chairman over there doesn't give you any information for a board meeting. I guess my question is this being forced, or has this been discussed with everybody and everybody on the same page? Are we making somebody move, or are we making it available and they wanna move? Are we making somebody, are we taking a job away from somebody and saying you ain't got a choice, you come here or you're out?
I'm not sure, an employee be willing to make a lateral move only with no pay increase and, no assurance of future steps. And,
So it doesn't answer my question, so if you mentioned a name, so if that person doesn't wanna move, that person's got to move, there's no choice, or there are other selections, or what?
that'd be a question for the board.
So,
Well, that's my question.
all right, so Chip, yeah, would y'all like to take that back and table it? And then till we get ask the employee if they wanna do this job, and before we make a move to do this, if we should they're willing to take it, if not, we'll have the right person's name, would that be a fair thing to say?
Yeah. The deal is, I'm
You're
gonna make
sitting right
this,
here,
I'm gonna make this clear.
you're sitting right here, ask her.
Well,
Let me ask you something.
Jimmy, I don't think that's fair.
I don't think it's fair.
That's a closed door conversation.
Well, but you're talking about it anyway, what I'm
Well,
saying.
she's heard it, when Cody recommended it, he bring it to the board.
My question is, you showed concern before, tax time is here, and you had one person in the city, and then, I didn't know who it was at that time, I asked you a question. Is there anybody here that's ever worked in your department before? You said, yes, there is one.
There's actually three.
Okay, well, that night it was one. My question is, that concern is still there, correct?
Yes.
So if there's three, there's someone else you might could go after, whatever. I don't mind tabling it, but I don't think we need to wait forever. Here's the problem. You table it, now we're sitting here, this is December. We're not gonna meet again until the second week of January, I think that's right.
We're gonna have a meeting in December.
Okay, so we're gonna have another one.
We're gonna have one in December.
This is easy. But anyway, that was my concern. By the time we do something, taxes is over, so do we even need a spot in? That was my question.
That's my biggest concern is delivery of service to our people, that when they come in, we've got people there to address them and to take their tax payments and, you know, make sure we've got experienced people where they're applied to the right accounts and everybody's, you know, this is a big time. Like, I just wrote a check for my taxes because I need that canceled check for my income tax. So December, January, and February is going to be busy in your office.
So why can't we just approve a new position, and then whoever wants to apply for it can apply for it? That's my motion.
We can't hire anybody.
I don't think we're going to do
If there's no one internally.
Wait just a minute, hold right there. We have a motion, we have a second. So before we make any more motions or anything, we either have to vote or table, whichever one you want. You got a motion, and what we need to do is, if you're gonna amend the motion, you can, if not, we gotta vote on this motion.
I'm gonna stand by my motion.
I have an issue on voting if
Well,
we're gonna say it's Mallory, I need to abstain. If we're just gonna say we're going to put somebody over there, then I feel like I can vote, because we haven't made a decision, but I don't wanna force anybody to go.
I'm
You
with you.
understand where I'm at?
I'm totally with you.
Okay.
I'm leaving that up to Cody right here, and Cody said tonight, and I didn't say it, he
I
said it.
understand.
And my question to him is, we should ask him if there's somebody else that probably could have voted. So what we should do is, we should amend, Skip trying to make a motion to do this, but we can leave the person's name out, and he will fill it with somebody internally to do this. Would that be acceptable?
Yeah, I'm fine.
If I'm not voting on her specifically,
what we're gonna do is we're gonna say he can fill it internally, and not name Pacific. We want that clear, that you're voting on this is not name Pacific.
Somebody internal on the system.
Well, just don't say anything. They have to be a qualified.
Somebody call.
Right. Yeah,
Most
let's-
of the experience, I mean, it's gotta be something.
Chip's name.
I didn't know just a minute.
I didn't hear. We done did
We're gonna let
too
you-
much in the motion and now, so what is the motion?
His motion is, go ahead, Skip.
He can post it internally, someone qualified, see if he can move them over laterally.
But what happens if somebody doesn't move laterally? Then our people are the ones that's gonna
I
suffer.
agree, in the math, it's, I mean,
We're gonna be back in December, we'll find out for the person who's.
somebody has to clean it up.
I agree to it. And I seconded his motion, so let's call for the vote, please.
All for a vote. Vote.
Roger Lawson.
Yes.
Tim Rhodes.
Yes.
Donna Ross.
Yes.
Jimmy White.
Yes.
Gay Williams.
Yes.
Sandra Woods. Chip Clark.
Yes,
Thank you. Number 7, discuss second reading ordinance adopting gas rates.
before this goes deep, I already talked to Mr. Rhodes, I'm sorry. And we've been discussing some things back and forth, and honestly, I also don't feel like this is necessarily an item for a Monday 1 o'clock meeting. So I would like to table it also, please.
I'll second that motion.
Got a motion and second to table it. Call the roll.
Till when?
Till when?
I didn't know we was gonna meet in December. I said, I have some stuff that I want to discuss with him before I wanna be 100% either direction on what I think.
Well, we're having a meeting in December, so do you want to table it?
Regular meeting,
Regular meeting, regular time.
so that's the 20,
The 22nd.
and what,
It'll be the 22nd.
22nd?
22nd.
So we're tabling to the 22nd.
I had originally in my mind had January, that give me time to finish everything I wanna finish. So I would prefer for January, you wanna do it 22nd? I would say January, that's my idea.
So you want to table it to January?
Yes. That still gives time for February install, correct?
Yeah. Second,
I second.
all right. So we're tabling this, the motion is to table it to January. Call roll.
Tim Rhodes.
Yes.
Donna Ross.
Yes.
Jimmy White.
Yes.
Gay Williams.
Yes.
Sandra Woods. Chip Clark.
Yes.
Roger Lawson.
No.
All right, moving on to the next one. Next is discuss the reading ordinance about amend Title 1, Chapter 1, Section 1-111, Municipal Code relative to the time and place of the regular monthly meeting of board and alderman. And what that is, y'all discuss this we'll have 2 meetings a month, and then one will be the second Monday in the month, and that'll be the 4th Monday in the month. So we do the utility board on the second Monday, and on the 4th Monday, we'll do the city business, what we'll do. We have a motion or any discussion?
I'll make a motion.
I second.
Got a motion and a second. Call roll.
Donna Ross.
Yes.
Jimmy White.
Yes.
Gay Williams.
Yes.
Sandra Woods. Chip Clark.
Yes.
Roger Lawson.
Oh, he's already did that, sorry. I didn't hear you.
Wasn't loud enough. Yes.
Tim Rhodes.
Okay, motion passes. Number 7 is discuss and approve of, what this is a grant to add a second phase to Depot Park. A2H come to my office and told me that we could apply for it. The time deadline, it will be in January, and we will not have another meeting but that's not the case now. We will be having one in December, so I would recommend tabling this till we can get a little more information out to you, because it's kind of short notice. I recommend tabling it till the meeting in December.
On the mayor's recommendation, I'll make a motion, we table it.
Second.
December.
Call roll.
Jimmy White.
Yes.
Gabe Williams.
Yes.
Sandra Wood. Chip Clark.
Yes.
Roger Lofton.
Yes.
Tim Rhodes.
Yes.
Donna Ross.
Yes.
Number 10 is approved resolution for charter change. That has to be the second reading. I sent out some information, a lot of information y'all have in that packet. I found a draft that where the state did their changes, and I included in the packet. I have in the packet also the old charter. I have a packet of the new charter, and I also have a packet that's in yellow and underlines what the wording was put in. I recommend tabling that to the next meeting, till everybody has time to read it and study it. If there's any change or amendments that can be done to it, they can give it to me, and we'll discuss it next meeting. I don't think everybody really had a good time to look at this and investigate it further, and I think it'd be wise to table it.
I'll make a motion.
Wait.
Second. Sorry.
No, it's okay. Can I just ask that when we come back on the second reading, that we have the actual draft that's being submitted to the state?
If Rick can get it done before Christmas, I'll ask him to do it. He did. We have to tell him specifically what we wanna do, and we have to vote on something and give him specifically what we wanna do. Right now, we do not have that.
I see. Well, I know you've spent a lot of time on this, Mayor, and I appreciate
But
that.
here's the thing about it is, the reason this is probably one of the most important things you're gonna vote on. So that's the reason I recommend tabling it, look at it, and when it comes back, we do that, and he gives us a resolution that we vote on in January, and then we send it up. Because all we gotta do is vote on it in January and send it up, and that's why I'm recommending doing it, because I do not want to shortcut the process. I want y'all to have time to read and study and understand what's fixing to be done, and I think it'd be prudent on everyone's part to do that.
So we, at the last meeting, voted that the charter would stay the same, and we would put in the addition of you breaking the tie, mayor breaking the tie, department heads living in the county. So we have voted already on what we wanted.
But here's what's gonna happen, is there's some verbiage in here, and that's the reason I would like to discuss with each of you. And I'm gonna do it just shortly, just so we can mention, so you understand. Give me just a second to find my place.
I'm sorry, I'm not trying to be
No,
complicated,
no,
I'm
no,
really
it's
trying to
okay.
understand.
That's the reason I'm recommending we doing what we're doing, because I feel like we're gonna have to have some discussion about it. And it needs to be read so everybody understands where we're at. But I haven't got my part. Here it is. Okay. If you read, actually on the very first page, it says charter with changes, okay? On C11, the yellow page right here, everybody got this first page right here? Everybody see it, like every time we look at it, so they got it. There's a little verbiage in here that's a little different than what was in the old charter. That was not voted on specifically, it has to do with unexpired terms and what the board does. I think there's a word or two in here that some of the board members feel like that we should understand what we're doing and exactly how this is gonna happen when you have somebody that passed away or resigned from the board, and the process we use so that person could be put back on this board. This is in here, and it's a little bit different, and we don't have this, we have this policy, but I believe Mr. Rhodes at the time wanted to be where you could, if everybody can follow me, if you pass away in the first year, then you got 3 years left to serve. But what he wanted is where you could appoint somebody to that board, but it could only be appointed to the next election time, and they would have to run, and for 2 years, they had to finish that term, and then they'd have to run again. He wanted that so that person wouldn't get selected for a period of 3 years. The board actually voted on that, but the verbiage come back was a little bit different than what they voted to do. And if we're gonna change and put that in here now, it needs to be addressed and stuff in here. That's the main contributing thing is exactly how we feel that vacancy and what order that is, the process goes through to do it. And that needs to be totally understood to this board before they vote on it. And that's the reason I recommended everybody read it and understand what it is. And Tim, am I right or wrong on that? Huh? That's what you specifically wanted it that way. Okay, I thought it was, and I don't think it come back specifically that way, but the way it's reading right now for the charter changes, that's the way it needs to be done. So that being said, that needs to be looked at, and also on there's also a line of verbiage added at the end of talking about the department heads. Is the last paragraph, and that's in section, I'm sorry, that's on page C13, if you look on C13. C13, right in the middle of the page, the last yellow line, paragraph there, all department heads shall be administered and subject to the direction of the mayor and board of aldermen. Okay, that was not in the old charter, but it is in this charter to identify them as department heads.
Well, and I noticed when I was going through it, you know, we had talked in that, there was a paragraph that was added under the city reporters section about where we changed that officer verbiage and all that, and, there's this, on page C13 of the original charter, this new charter with changes that you had sent in yesterday. This verbiage about abolishing and all of that is in there. I didn't understand that we were leaving that in because it was covered under C9. The other thing that I've noticed just in reading this, Mayor, was, and this is nothing that was ever in there, I don't think, but if you read through our department head verbiage, we have in there that the mayor can suspend the department heads for misconduct, dereliction of duty, or for cause, okay? Under our general employees, that for cause verbiage is left out, and it's my understanding that that is pretty important legal verbiage to protect our employees, to protect our mayor, and to our board and our taxpayers against wrongful termination lawsuits. So that's something that we need to ask MTAS about.
Well, and that's the reason, if we need to be, we need to put this in here before we send it over there. And that's the reason I'm giving this back to y'all, with understanding that anything needs to be, we'd like to bring it back in December and vote on what that will be, and everybody have a clear understanding of what we're voting on. That's the reason I said we don't have everything as is needed. So I recommend a motion to table this till December meeting.
So moved. And then I had it, right?
Huh?
We got a motion.
You got a motion.
A motion second already? Okay, I'm sorry. They don't say, all right, call roll.
Gabe Williams,
Yes.
Sandra Wood,
Yes.
Chip Clark,
Yes.
Roger Lawson,
Yes.